good evening, or it's good afternoon, whatever time it is in your area. But there is one important thing that I want to talk about. It's the two important saga that is going on in Africa. One in Nigeria and another one in France. And uh, the 84 years old, and it happens that both of them are of the same age. I know Buhari, the sister, celebrated 84 birthday. So if the youngest sister is celebrating the 84th birthday, then obviously what will Buhari be celebrating? So approximately we just added 2 years to give him 86 years old. So in other words, he's 86 years old if a younger sister is 84 years old. So, and in another scenario is Paul Biya, who is 87 years old. So these two scenarios, they might be contrarily different, but I want to bring in some very important differences. So that's Buhari. Buhari is the current president of Nigeria, and it's quite interesting to know about Buhari. I know there's a lot of controversy that is surrounding Buhari, but these particular issues is his new wedding. So let's look at that is the state invitation. Is that invitation? They said Muhammadu and Sadia on the 10th. So that happened yesterday at Dura Royal Garden. So that is where the occasions took place yesterday. Today is the 11th. So what happens? You all know that Buhari, he's just got married to a second wife. And the second wife is Sadia Omar Farouk. The second wife is Sadia Omar Farouk. That is her name. And what do we know about Sadia Farouk, who is now the new current president of Nigerian wife? She's 44 years old, and she was born on November 1974. And she has been very involved in Buhari. In other words, she was a member of the CPC, which is the Congress Progressive Change, which was the former Buhari political party. She happened to be the financial manager or the financial secretary or whatever, the director of the financial affairs of that particular organizations that see the election of Buhari during his first presidency. So there is some scenario going on here. Anyway, she graduated from Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria, Kaduna, with BS in Business Administration, and in 1984. So she's currently the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management and Social Development. So which means the President of Nigeria, is rewarding his girlfriend because she now become a full wife. So in other words, he was awarding his girlfriend. Is there a conflict of interest in terms of government oversight committee? Obviously, there is some indication there is a government oversight rewarding your girlfriend for a position, even though they have some political background, because she was the financial director and in the CPC, and he was the candidate to be elected president. So now they have come forward, officially married, as the second wife of Buhari. And so the wedding took place yesterday at the Dura Royal Garden. And what do we know about Buhari? We know Buhari is married. That's the current wife. That's the current wife. There was some indications that she was locked somewhere. I don't know where she was locked. And I don't know why she was locked, but it was locked. Maybe by the governmental authority asking her to be locked. So right now we don't know where she is, but I am bringing this funny story that is going on surrounding the Buhari regime in Nigeria. So now the person she has awarded has become now the second wife of Buhari. And so that is very interesting thing. That's the original wife. As you can see, this Buhari with a new bride, as you can see, sitting there, the current president of Nigeria. And you can see both of them. But when you look back, you see, so this controversial, that is what I bring it to for those in Nigeria to take note of it. And another issues that I want to talk about again, in this case, is La République du Cameroon. Okay, that is the wedding that was taking place, and that's the wedding ceremony. It was 2 p.m. yesterday in Abuja, in a central mosque in Nigeria. And Muhammadu Buhari and Sadia Muhammad Farouk, those are the wedding that took place yesterday in Nigeria, in Abuja. So this person was awarded as a positions as a reward. Now they become a bride. So thus that gave a conflict of interest. So I leave it to the majority of the Nigerians to decide whether it is. Thank you. And another issue surround is the 87 years old Paul Biya, and he was in France to meet his grandson, who is currently the president of France. So in other words, Paul Biya was in France to meet his grandson, who happened to be the French president. So that gave you the indication, the age differences, that you can understand where I am coming from. So the one thing that I'm bringing attention, not only to fellow Africans in general, not only the Southern Cameroon case that we have an issue going on, but in Africa as a general. You all know that the permanent OAU ambassador to United Nations was forced to leave her office. She happened to be a woman, she's an outspoken. She was forced by France to retire from his positions as the Africa ambassador. Just imagine, France president, who is a European, and asking an Africa OAU Secretary General, an OAU Secretary General in Africa, to ask his ambassador that is currently in the United Nations to retire because she happened to be an outspoken against France colonization of Africa. That is pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic. And that is why Africa has become a stewardship of France, that France can manipulate at whatever, and that France will ask to recall the African representative that's supposed to be the voice of Africa at the United Nations, and France will ask the OAU Secretary General to recall its ambassador on behalf of France to serve the interests of France. This is absolutely pathetic. So this is Emmanuel Macron that invited this evil dictatorship Paul Biya regime in Africa that has killed at least 3,000 citizens of Southern Cameroon, of Anglophone speaking. We have almost 100,000 in Nigeria as a refugee and approximately 800,000 living in the forest. About 1 million homes has been burned by La République. And one will expect that France will have some kind of, but unfortunately, it didn't mean anything for France, but France has the audacity to invite this dictator in France to talk about donation when we have 800,000 citizens of Southern Cameroon living in the forest because of La République du Cameroon, this dictatorship. And that France has the audacity asking him to donate 3 billion CFA to provide humanitarian when he has his own people that are currently languishing in the forest, basically with no food. Even in his own village, Samalima, there is no school. How pathetic is this? And that is why I am bringing this to fellow Africans, that if you have an opportunity to watch this video, then you need to look at, are we slaves? And that is what the African ambassador to United Nations were outspoken, and that has caused France to ask to be immediately removed from her position and force her to retire. And this is what is the most devastating that you can watch and give me the impression why France keep on meddling in the internal affairs of Africa without the benefit of Africa. Why will he ask this brutal dictator to come and they parade France while citizens are being murdered indiscriminately? Fellow Africans, if you are watching, I expect you to think up again and ask. Before I conclude these messages, I want to thank the Ethiopian president for his Nobel Prize Peace winner this year. So it is a very also shows some sign of improvement, but unfortunately, Africa is still dragging behind, especially those on the French colonial territory.